It's game 1 of the NBA Finals. A sacred space in American television where ads aren't just commercials. They are statements.
And they're worth a lot of money.
Oh yes. Jinx, insurance companies melt your heart. Car brands scream luxury. Tech giants spend millions to remind you that they care about your feelings. Then right in the middle of it all, a glitch in the matrix. Not a commercial shot on a soundstage, not written in a corporate boardroom, not backed by Hollywood studios. This was just AI. A weird, chaotic, fast-paced spot, generated voiced and edited entirely by machines, guided by one person, and broadcast to millions of people during primetime national television. It wasn't just a commercial. It was a first.
And it broke through.
And it broke through. Let's talk about the guy who made it. The man behind it was PJ Ace, a lone filmmaker at the intersection of culture and code. Commissioned by Kalshi, a small prediction market startup, PJ wasn't handed millions of dollars. He was handed a question. What happens if we skip the old rules and just go fast? No cameras, no crews, no permits. You've got 48 hours, $2,000, and your AI tools.
And they're gonna win, baby!
We're in Florida asking people what they put their money on!
A 30-second ad that didn't just look different. It was different. The first AI-generated commercial to ever air in a national primetime slot. This time, history was not made by Madison Avenue. It was made by one guy and his laptop. What happened when it went live? Viewers blinked, laughed, rewound, and Googled, who is Kalshi?
I Googled who is Kalshi. I didn't know who they were.
What is this ad? Was that AI? Honestly, I didn't think that. But was that AI? Kalshi didn't just get brand awareness. They got cultural curiosity. Direct traffic was of course up. Twitter mentions spiked. TikTok remixing all of this absurdity. I personally found it on Instagram Reels. With the headline, "This is the first ad made with AI on national TV." That blew my mind. While the $500,000 spots fought for memorability, everything that was before and after the spot. This $2,000 ad broke through by feeling alive, unfiltered, and different. This is the night that the old marketing playbook was cracked open. That night wasn't just about Kalshi. It was a marker in history. The first time a fully AI-generated ad made it to America's biggest screens. During America's one of the most watched events. This was a signal that the future of storytelling doesn't have to cost millions, or take months, or involve endless gatekeepers. It was a wake-up call. If one guy could make primetime history with $2,000, what's everyone else's excuse? More importantly, what's your excuse? This is The Art of Commerce, and we are in season 2.
The Art of Commerce is a podcast featuring conversations on creativity and conversions. Hosted by Anish, a data-obsessed creative director, and Jinx, a growth-obsessed CMO. Listen on for actionable insights for the modern marketer.
All right. Anish, you're so right. And when you say that this was a moment that changed the way we think about marketing. As somebody that managed a budget, has managed a creative budget, and have friends that have managed creative budgets, the conversation on LinkedIn, the conversation with my friends was, why are we paying for $500,000 for creative when these guys not only created objectively a great spot, it broke through, it was engaging, it carried the message? Why are we paying $500,000 to do that when they're paying $2,000? I mean, it really changed the way we think about it. And honestly, for me, you're creative. You had a different mindset about AI. My first concept wasn't AI. My first concept was, this is a really good, powerful commercial that breaks through, right? But then when you peel back the onion and you're like, oh my gosh, they don't have the typical moats that wrap a creative, right? You need millions of dollars to put on a shoot. You need to get a great director. You need to do this, which is all great stuff. And I'm not trying to belittle any of our creative partners here on this. But when you look at that and you look at what they were able to do and the fact that we are talking about Kalshi today, unbelievable to do this for $2,000. We were completely blown away. And what it really represents, and as we think about it, is, and we've talked about this, we've seen it, the last couple of years, this UGC, user generated content, the TikTokification of marketing. This actually brings it to the forefront on the 10-foot on the big screen of your living room. And I agree with you, Anish. I think this is going to change the way brands look at the way to create creative.
I agree. You made a great point, Jinx, about the modes, right? And I have lived the life of an advertising creative. You come up with a beautiful idea, okay? It's your baby. It's so good. You're so proud of it. You take it to your creative director, shoots it in the head. Yeah, we don't have the budget for it. Okay. Now, let's say your creative director is on board as well. You take it to the client, shoots it in the head. Your baby's dead again. We don't have the right crew, the right budgets. We just can't fit it in the marketing spend for this year. With tools like these, you don't need anyone's permission to sign big checks. You just need an idea. You need a laptop and you need the right tools.
Yeah. To your point, how many times have we neutered an idea just because? Oh yeah, we want the car to go off the cliff into the. No, we can't do that. We're not. There's no pyrotechnics. There's no stunts, right? And we've lived that life, right? We've been in the parameters of that, but now it's less about what budget do you have, what are the constraints you need, and it's more about being interesting. I mean, and if you think about social and the content on social and the content that's being put out in the broader market, it is about interesting. So if you're making commercials that aren't, you're not going to be at the forefront of people's minds.
That's true. And what's also surprising, rather interesting, is how far this technology has come. We started using GenAI at an enterprise scale in early 2023. Arguably one of the first people to do it with skills.
Yeah.
The fact that the technology is getting to a place where you have to ask yourself, is it AI? Is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in Wimbledon, right? All the news about this AI influencer that Mia something or other, right? They named her. They did all this influence from it. People thought she was a real person.
Tell me about it. I haven't heard of this.
Oh, you haven't heard about it?
No.
So our followers, go on LinkedIn, you'll see it. There was in Wimbledon an AI generated influencer that literally was not real.
Wow.
But the pictures of her looked real. She was in the stands. She was eating the strawberries and cream, all the stuff you do in Wimbledon and commenting on it. And she got so much pickup not because she was AI, but because she was actually in the moment, interesting, doing that.
And it was believable.
And so now what you have is the post press, for lack of a better term, is, well, she was AI. How does this change how we think about it? And, the worry I have, quite frankly, is I always say creativity and great marketing comes within the borders, within the constraints. What happens when you don't have constraints? So as marketers, we need to think about, we have these tools, whether you like this Mia person or not, AI generated Wimbledon commentator, doesn't matter. But the fact is it can be done. And so then what do we do with it? What do you do when the shackles are off, the constraints are off? How do you still make creative that resonates, right? And that's where I go back to, as marketers, it all starts with the brief. It all starts with our creativity in the brief. So we need to hone our briefs even more to create our natural constraints to be creative. Because that's the beauty of machines are. They'll put it out there. They'll make it for us. The car, pyrotechnics, the stunts, da-da-da. The beauty of humans is we have the creativity and AI could never possess. And so how do we marry the two? And that's what this podcast is about. But that's what our constant search, Anish and I's constant search of the art of this intersection.
Yeah, and this Kalshi case study is a great example of the art of commerce. You got kick-ass creative, which delivered business results. And this guy, he was discovered on social media. He made a bunch of viral films. He made a commercial called Papraming, okay? So it's a fictional pharma product created in the style of a pharma ad, which will instantly boost your mood. And it's like it attracts puppies to you. So dogs come to you and your mood boosts. So he makes these extremely creative concepts that don't need any budget, no one's permission, and he just goes ahead and does it. Things what you say that now is the first time in a long time, arguably the best time to be a marketer or a creative person.
I'll say it a little different. I think it's the best of times and the worst of times, right? It depends on who you are. Because as a leader that owns a budget and is trying to engage customers, maybe it's the best of times. I can make a $2,000 ad that used to cost me $500,000, right? Unbelievable. I don't got to get permission anymore. I don't have to go to my CFO anymore. Great. Potentially it's the worst of times though, because you've got creators like, I've got friends that are directors or producers. They're worried, right? And so we have to be cognizant of both, right? And I really do believe, I don't have an answer for this yet, to be quite frank, but where I keep coming back to is the AI can do anything we want, but we have to want it.
That's true.
And so what that means is we have to have the creative. We have to empower creatives to think. And so these folks that are worried, what I'm trying to pivot the conversation is your creativity is now more important than ever.
Correct.
Right? And we will have to think about the new world where you can produce things without huge crews, etc. But the underlying fact of creativity, the underlying fact of skill, the underlying fact of the human element, I don't think can go away.
You make a great point. If you have a good creative muscle, if you have built the right muscle of direction, production, storytelling, if you've worked on your craft, now all the barriers that used to stop you from producing a sport are taken away. Without that muscle, with AI tools available to everyone, you run the risk of just as easily adding to the noise and making something that's average.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why I go back to the brief. I mean, again, all of these tools, like I view ChatGPT as a input for a brief. And if you have a crappy brief, you're going to get crappy creative.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. And that's what we learned from day one. If you write a bad brief, you submit that to the agency, you're going to have bad creative. Same thing when you submit it to AI. You're going to have bad creative. You need the insight, right? You need to provide the insight. You need to provide the direction. You need to provide the business goals, like all the things that you would do in a brief. So again, you say it's the best of times. We might say it's the best of times and the worst of times because we have to figure it out. But to the marketer that thinks now all of a sudden I give it to AI and it does my work for me, that is completely incorrect. The work starts before you even get to the computer. And then when you're there, what it allows you is all the information in the world at your fingertips, right? But if you don't have your innate sense of direction, innate sense of what moves the business, the things that are going to actually be the inputs to that model to add on the world's information to get you the best creative. If you don't have that, you're out of luck.
Well said. If we take a few steps back and zoom out a bit, Kalshi got three things right. Okay, it really got the taste, the timing, and the tools to work together. Okay, PJ Ace had a great understanding of what would pop. That's the taste part, right? GTA 6 style commercial that was consistently his perspective in producing this. I've seen a bunch of interviews that he's done. He wanted to create a chaotic GTA 6 style ad, right? So you got a very sharp, to your point, he knew exactly what he wanted. That's the case, right? He combined his taste with the right tools. Now the technology is good enough that you can get kick-ass output, which makes you doubt, is this really AI? Right? So you've got taste and tools and then the right timing. Right? To be the first one to do this, carrying in and itself made me curious about it, made you curious about it, made tons of people really look up and pay attention. But the taste, the timing, and the tools, the intersection of that is what created this magic.
And what's so important about that is the taste, the timing, and the tools. Those are all the human element. Think about it.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
AI doesn't have taste. ChatGPT, apologies to OpenAI, no taste. Okay, it does not have taste. I don't care what they say. Timing, they can't know.
That's true.
They're beholden to the human to tell them the timing, right? And the tools, yes, they are a tool, but you've got Midjourney, you've got ChatGPT, you got VO, you got this. It's up to the human to know what tool to use at the right moment. So taste, tools, timing. This is all the human elements. So I think what you've just said is so critical. And as we're forming, again, we're forming in real time. We talk about this, we're building in real time right now. Like that to me is maybe what we should be harping to our marketers, our creatives, et cetera. It's yes, you feel maybe it's the worst of times because these tools are encroaching your life. But if you have taste, if you work on your taste, if you work on your timing, and you work on to know which tool, don't pull out a hammer when a saw is needed, for example, then that's the differentiator maybe, right?
Yeah. So humor in the loop is the key to success, but humans have to use the tools. Otherwise, you're gonna be behind.
That's
man.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I keep going back. Like I just said it, but how many times do you pull out a wrong tool and I can't fix that? A hammer's not going to fix what a screwdriver could, right? But you have to know that, and the AI is not going to. AI may help tell you that, but it's not going to do it for you, and it's not going to pick it for you.
Jinx, this excites me as a creative because now there truly are no limits to what you can create, right? But it also makes me really excited for the business side of things because imagine all the money that you just saved, right? In this example, instead of spending $500,000, you spent a few thousand, 2,000, right? You put the rest of that money to use to make sure that message is amplified.
That's right.
And seen and heard.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, two things. One, I lived the experience of having to go to the CEO, et cetera, to approve that budget. All of a sudden now, if you can create something and rather than tell them what you're going to do and get an approved budget, show them what you did because you didn't need to get the budget approved because it was so cheap.
Such a good point.
That's awesome. But secondly, like really practically, and we know this for those that run a performance media shop or whatever, every creative dollar goes to your cost per acquisition. Goes to your CPA, goes to your CAC or SAC or whatever you want to call it. And so to take that out, right, and to give yourself now the freedom to go and invest more, to your point, in high quality media is liberating. Right? Like, I mean, those are the things, like the drivers we talk about. Great creative, great media, great digital experience. It all drives to great advertising. Why? Well, A, it engages the customer, et cetera. But to your CFO, if you do all that right, it should have the lowest possible CPA in their view, right? That's not the be all end all, let's be clear. But that's what they care about. So if all of a sudden, each of those stages, well, the first two of those stages have a cost, media, creative. Why you care about the experience is because that should improve your conversion, your efficiency. So if all of a sudden you're pulling out cost from one of those first two pieces, all of a sudden you're in a better place. And then you made a great point, Anish, which is don't just pull out the costs. Think about how you can reinvest it.
Exactly.
And that's really the key. I love that.
And, all of these AI evangelists, what's the one thing they say? They say that AI will democratize a lot of things, right? AI has democratized creativity, but based on what you just said, Jinx, if you don't need as much of a budget to now invest in that high quality media, that is the democratization of access. You no longer need a big budget. You no longer need to have a fat P&L statement. You no longer need to be a really established brand that's making a lot of money to now use these tools to be seen and to be heard. And this Kalshi example is a great testament to the democratization that AI promises.
We didn't know who Kalshi was.
Yes.
At all. You know what I mean? And it's so you're totally right. It's unbelievable the way you can level the playing field with this.
Level the playing field.
But again, not all creative is good creative, right? Not all marketing is good marketing. So I love what you said, man. The taste, the timing, tools, that's the human element. And that's what we should be training the next generation of marketers on.
Agreed. Speaking of the next, Jinx, to wrap us up, what do you think the future looks like with all of these new technologies? with these new tools and a timing that's as hot as ever, where do you think the space is going?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think it democratizes it, right? Now, all of a sudden, you don't need big budgets, right, to make this type of creative. And this was a TV ad for the NBA playoffs, and we know live events are going to do, but we also know that the TV landscape is bifurcating, and there's connected TV. There are different platforms. There are different, there's social video, there's TikTok. So what this actually allows you to do, what I'm most excited about is, we were talking about this in 10, 15 years ago. Don't take a TV ad and cut it down and put it to social. When I was at Comcast, like literally, that's what I was waving from the mountaintop. Like, do not take your TV ad and put it on social. And that was a revolutionary idea at the time. But now everyone's on that page. But think about it. The versioning, right? The way now I can have that Kalshi ad, which is in your face, but how do I put it on TikTok, right? How do I put it in Meta? How do I put in the next thing that comes? How can I be more prescriptive in that Netflix ad supported by, right?
Correct.
To be in that moment. So again, great creative that fits the media, that fits the digital experience. What this allows us to do is be bespoke to that journey. And that's really what I'm excited about from that perspective. But I got to say, I'm going to keep saying it. Great art, great creative does not happen on an unlimited canvas, an infinite canvas, right? You need boundaries. Creativity happens in the boundaries. So as marketers, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create our own boundaries to create that great art. And I love the way you framed it, because the way we create that is, at least some of it is, the taste creates the border. The timing creates the border. And then the tools we use, they don't create the border, but that's what we paint the canvas with. And so I just, the more I think about it, the more I am excited by the infinite options, but we always have to remember that great art doesn't happen. Great creative does not happen with an infinite canvas. And so how, as marketers, then do we create the border? And as leaders, how do we create the borders for our team?
What you just said, Jinx, reminds me of a quote that I used to swear by in my advertising days. Okay. As a creative, you're always going to think out of the box. Know the box before you think out of it. Okay? Know the box before you break it. Like, you want to be disruptive, but understand the boundaries of tools, timings, technologies first, and combine it together like PJ Ace and Kalshi did and create something that's outstanding. Hey, you can ask me this, but I think... Ask me, what do I think is good?
Oh, sorry. So, Anish, I ranted. I did my normal rant. What do you think this holds for the future?
So, I think, Jinx, this is going to be the rise of a solo studio.
Awesome.
One person with an idea, with the right taste, with the right tools, and just figuring out the right timing to produce the whole asset. You no longer need to go to a music director. You no longer need to go to someone who is a great cinematographer, right? You need to have a director's mindset. You need to have the craft of screenplay and storytelling. But that's probably all you need. You need your craft, you need a laptop, and you can produce a whole pipeline of creatives endlessly, limitlessly, till you run out of ideas. And when you run out of ideas, use AI to come up with new ideas again.
But you make a really good point, because it elevates the creative, right? Like, we didn't acknowledge it, but I will now. Like, in the intro to everything we talked about now, PJ Ace is there.
He's there.
He's there. We're talking about him, right? And the fact of the matter is, how many commercials, and we've had great directors on it. We got the guy that directed Portlandia for Sling ads, all kinds of. We're never talking about that. So this is unbelievable, and I think that's such a great point, especially from the point of the creator. Right now, you're not only democratizing, but you're elevating.
Yeah. Right. That brings us to the end of the episode. This is the Art of Commerce. Anything else you want to add?
Stick around, hit the subscribe button. follow us and stick around for the next episode.
Yeah, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. We know you guys are watching it. We receive tons of DMs. And when we speak to people, the reception is awesome. Guys, rate us on Spotify. Leave us a comment and let's talk. What's something that keeps you excited about the art of commerce and the space of marketing? We'll see you in the next one.
This is The Art of Commerce, featuring conversations on creativity and conversions. If you found value in today's episode, follow the show, leave a review, and stay tuned for more insights for the minds reshaping modern marketing.